Yeah, hi folks. Now the government's new hate speech document, for which I've posted a link below, reads, quote, proposals against incitement of hatred and discrimination, unquote. Yet there's not one word in that document about cancel culture, which is the worst form of hatred and discrimination there is. To cancel someone's life because you don't like what he or she says is the very definition of hate. It's far worse than words. Now the document tells you how to make a submission, so please get there and have your say. Anyway, I'll start this off today with GB News.
In a number of companies, some of them well-known brands, have decided to stop advertising on GB News. They've bowed to pressure from a fringe group called Stop Funding Hate, a misnomer if ever there was one. It's quite remarkable that serious, important executives in well-established companies can be so easily cowed. They've all taken the knee to stop funding hate. It's important that they and you realise to whom they are in thrall. SFH doesn't stand for a liberal, inclusive society. It's dominated by far-left agitators and cranks that push for advertiser boycotts of any media organisation with which it disagrees.
Yeah, typical left-wing cancel culture. The true meaning of hate.
Its default position is to smear anything it takes against as a peddler of hate.
But these leeches are only as powerful as the weakest member of any corporate body or media body. The craven cowards of the woke culture now infesting our boardrooms.
Yep, the corporate communists.
Individuals who quite happily wallow in exorbitant bonuses and unearned goodies creamed off the hard-working taxpayer while they pretend to be morally superior to those who pay their bills. It's sickening. But Andrew had more to say, and he did not miss.
If advertisers want to see real hate, they should have a look at the social media postings of SFH supporters. They smear and threaten businesses and people who won't do their bidding with words like vile, scum, toxic, and many more words that we can't repeat here tonight. Yet through fear or ignorance, some companies do as SFH bids. Woke nonsense has reached the boardroom, and corporate capitalism is becoming the useful idiot of bigots bent on censorship.
Yeah, and the useful idiots of the global communists at the UN.
Now, I understand that in some cases it was not the bosses of the brands that pulled their ads, but their advertising agencies. Fair enough. There's still time for you to have a word with your agencies who work for you, after all, and risk doing you huge harm. But all these brands should understand that this boycott business can play both ways. GB News viewers are incensed with advertisers who've taken against us for no reason. Many have written to these advertisers to tell them so.
And that is, of course, the point. We must fight back.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to put in a submission focusing on cancel culture.
We cannot sit around and put up with this relentless assault upon common sense, rational thought, civilized debate, agreeing to disagree, and all the other normal tenets of our Judeo-Christian heritage. Any company arrogant and stupid enough to insult its potential customers by sneering and slandering the shows and the presenters that they enjoy watching deserves nothing but derision and contempt from those same customers. There's nothing to stop us boycotting the boycotters and nothing to stop us cancelling the cancellers. And when I say us, I mean you. Indeed, this weekend the ratings came out and yep, GB News is surging ahead of its dreary woke competitors at the ghastly BBC and the insufferable Sky News UK. As Andrew tweeted 2 nights ago, we're number 1 in our time slot. We have 3 times the audience of Sky News UK and 26% more than BBC News Channel, and we've only just begun. Hilariously, the UK Guardian was so freaked out by GB's success that last week they drew comparisons between GB News and, what a surprise, Sky News Australia. in a laughable piece drawing on comments from the likes of the ABC's Paul Barry and some journalism professor from Melbourne that nobody's ever heard of, the UK Guardian wrote a massive article attacking GB News by claiming that it, quote, has borrowed heavily from Australia's Sky News in its focus and its formats. So what's wrong with that? Well, the Guardian then warned British readers about Sky After Dark before terrifying the Poms by telling them all about the dreaded Sky News Australia's most over-the-top panel show, Outsiders. Excellent. Always love a good plug. Thank you, Guardian UK. And if that wasn't enough to send woke young Pommy snowflakes scurrying for the smelling salts, then they labelled me personally as some crazy right-wing conspiracy theorist for saying that, and this seemed to really upset them, saying when I said that the Great Reset is an evil agenda by woke billionaires to dismantle capitalism that is being pushed via the next Davos Economic Summit and promoted by Prince Charles. Well, isn't it?
Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight the real virus, but to shape the system.
We have a unique but rapidly shrinking window of opportunity to learn lessons and reset ourselves on a more sustainable path. It is an opportunity we have never had before and may never have again. So we must use all the levers we have at our disposal, knowing that each and every one of us has a vital role to play.
The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be a wake-up call.
Now I'll focus more on this in my next clip.
At the end, what the fourth industrial revolution will lead to is a fusion of our physical, our digital, and our biological identities.
Remember, this is them saying it, not me. Nothing evil about wanting to fuse human beings with microchips run by the nanny state. That's perfectly harmless sustainability program designed to lower carbon emissions. Of course it is. Oh, and by the way, Klaus reassures you, Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum, that you will own nothing, but you will be happy.
So last week we announced the creation of a platform which was joined by over 100 companies and governments.
Global communists.
To have a kind of sandbox system and open source system to use blockchain in the shipping business. So working together, learning from each other, because we are in a learning process as far as blockchain is concerned, but to exchange the learning and to take the best examples and then to roll out and scale up the best proven experiences. So that's the World Economic Forum's role, to create such platforms, and we hope that in the future, particularly as we discussed in the area of cities and in the area of food security, we can work much closer together. Just, I mentioned the forum works together with most of the big global companies, but also with governments. And just to give you an example.
So just to give you an example of
how we are today solicited.
Of how we are today solicited.
To really confront.
To really confront.
Key issues of global society.
Key issues of global society.
I give you an example. I got this morning a letter from the Prime Minister of New Zealand.
A letter from the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Comrade Ardern.
And I just want to quote one part of the letter, and I do it because I know that Mark Zuckerberg will be one, as far as I have understood, one of your next speakers. Is this correct? Or has been, you would like to. We would like. So I'm wrong, but Prime Minister Annan writes, so violence and damage done by the Christchurch attacks was compounded by the attackers filming and disseminating them live on social media, messaging services and internet platforms. A collective goal for the international community must therefore to prevent the use of internet to propagate terrorist and violent extremism online without compromising fundamental freedoms. With your global standing, leading role in public-private cooperation and expertise in digital and security issues, there is clearly a role for the World Economic Forum in helping take the agenda forward. So this is exactly how we would react.
So this is exactly how we would react
to take up such crucial issues.
To take up such crucial issues. So clearly Ardern is pushing the UN for global hate speech laws. Anyway, I'll just fast forward a bit.
Of course, the first industrial revolution we are all familiar with. It was the invention of the steam engine, which actually helped to enlarge our physical power. And then we had the second industrial revolution, which mainly happened here in this country, very much also here in this region, which allowed mass production. And then we had the third industrial revolution with the starting of the computer age and the digital era. And now the fourth industrial revolution is not just a prolongation of this digitalization, it's much more. It's a combination of technologies. It's not just the digital technology. Just think of genetics, think of brain research and so on. And the power of the fourth industrial revolution comes from the combination of all those technologies. Actually, I was saying it's at the end what the fourth industrial revolution will lead to is a fusion of our physical, our digital, and our biological identity.
Fusion of our physical, our digital, and our biological identities. As Rowan Dean said, microchips. Yeah, now folks, I'll just leave you with this petition against Jacinda's hate speech laws from the Free Speech Union, which has already got over 22,000 signatures so far. So you can fill us in at the bottom here and see what happens. It's quite amusing. I have also posted a link to this as well.